If you're watching this video, you probably have some problems with your well pump. So this video, for me, we're documenting our well here so we can find it if it ever happens again, find the information that is. So anyway, this whole process didn't take 2 hours. We've had some really cold weather, down to 10 several days, several nights. And so what I would do is I would come out here, throw the breaker, kill the pump, and then when we were ready the next day, at the warmest part of the day, usually around 2 or 3, we turn it back on and do our business, and then turn it back off. So that worked well through had about a week of it. And then the next thing that happened was it was supposed to get warm, so I left it on. And so what I think happened was it came on, and then the pipes were froze. So I come out here, and I could tell we had a problem. So I put a ammeter on the line feeding the well, and I could tell the well was pumping, but we were not getting water or fluid to surface. I went to the state of Texas water board, and you can look up your well if it was properly done and properly documented. The pump is set at 250 feet, but it goes down past that to 520, I believe. Here's the well bore. So if you have a well in your state, you could probably look it up if it's a drilled well and it's kind of modern. Dug wells, I don't know if they're on there. So what this video is going to document is us hiring two young men to come out and pull our well. And they're going to go through all the things they look for, and they're like 5th generation, so some of their techniques come from their great-grandfather. This electric wire here is 120 volts. There's a heat tape that runs all in this piping, and this is a heat tape on the bottom of the tank. So that served us well. But this time, we had a problem.
But right off the bat, you know, the wire, if all that tape loses its stickiness, that wire will just fall down the hole. And then you gotta go fishing for it. The water quality is not bad at all.
You can already tell?
Yeah, I mean, all these fittings up here, they'd all be, over, you said it was 2013? They would all be kind of rusted out by then. You got some algae in it, that's pretty common.
We got it in our water closets behind a commode.
Yeah, we'll put some corn in.
Okay.
You got your phone on you? Yeah. I've been doing it for about 8 years.
Okay.
Our company started in 1956. We've done it all together a pretty long time. We've got an aunt and uncle that does it. Our uncle's a driller.
Well, I didn't have it recording. That's the hole, right?
Yep, that's it.
Oh yeah.
No doubt about it. What happens is whenever it freezes like that, that pump is just, it'll come on and build as much pressure as it can, but it's also, since it's not moving any water, that water coming by the motor is what cools it. So if it's not moving any water, it just gets hot. And it'll actually get hot enough to start melting this pipe. And then the pressure that builds up and the heat together both make it come apart like that.
Wow.
Because this poly, even though it's just 1 inch, it'll actually hold probably quite a bit of pressure. But when it gets hot, you know, it's just plastic at the end of the day. So we'll just cut it off.
He did a pretty good job taping it, didn't he?
Yeah, that's just what we do.
Yeah.
Hang that on your wall for a souvenir or something.
Depends on how much this costs.
When we drill wells, you got what's called the screen, where the water actually comes into the casing from. It's the same stuff as you have here, but it has slots in it, 20,000 slots. And you got gravel around that. So we usually set our pumps kind of close to the top of the screen. I guess mainly just that's where the water's coming in at. The check valves are built into the top of the pump. What do you mean it bleeds off? Like,
You know, it pumps up to 65 or 60, and then I'll walk around and it'll be down without any activity.
how far does it drop though?
I don't know if it ever goes far enough for it to cycle, but I just noticed it going down.
I got you. So every pump will do that.
Okay.
They have like I guess like a settling
Yeah.
pressure. You know, they'll build up to whatever, but then everything kind of equalizes throughout the system. So all your water lines and everything, that pressure distributes everywhere.
Okay.
It kind of comes back.
All right.
But yeah, if your check valve down here wasn't holding, you would notice that pump would be cycling. You know.
More often.
Yeah. Like I said, down here we put more tape, and then as we get further, we'll separate it to about 20 feet. And that's just because down here that torque is greater.
Is that special tape?
Yeah, this stuff is pretty rubbery. It's almost like electrical tape, but just bigger, stickier. Especially when it gets warm. It's cold right now. Okay.
What's it cost to drill one now?
Probably use the same
Yeah,
well.
it's $5,000 the first 100 feet, and then $18 a foot after that.
Okay.
So easy.
Going back in the hole.
Yep.
So it'll slow down when you hit the water.
It will. You'll definitely be able to tell.
Caught the wire right there. So we were still at 88 feet, it looked like, on fluid level. That's where it was when they drilled it.
Okay.
I'm doing this for video. Hey, I'm doing it for the video
Oh,
so I can remember.
we can still measure it too. As soon as that pump hits the water, he'll put his hat down wherever out there, and then we'll measure it.
Okay.
Well,
Picked up a little grass, didn't we?
oh yeah.
Getting pretty heavy?
A little bit.
What would you estimate that weight to be? At least 50?
I would
Think so.
say.
It's hard to say when it's in the water.
Yeah. You got a high static level, so it makes it seem lighter than what it is.
Yeah.
Just the pipe, the roll of pipe probably weighs 50 pounds. The wire is probably right there with it. And water inside of that. I'd say about 150, 125 pounds altogether.
Yeah.
When it's full of water.
Yeah, it could be still coming into the pipe, right?
Yeah, as you let it down, it's
Yeah.
gonna feed up through the pump.
Yeah.
It's all moved together.
You want me to go in there and tell my wife it's going to be about a week before we
Yeah.
get it on?
Yeah.
Wait till we leave, and then you can tell her whatever you want.
Really don't want to take the tube off. So if you seal the well seal completely off, it'll actually create a vacuum in the well, because when your pump comes on, it's pulling the water level down, and when it shuts off, the water level comes back up. So that just gives it a place to kind of breathe, you know, for that air to come up and down.
So what are we doing, Colton?
We're gonna pick it up and unclog the bleeder holes. So hopefully we can get a hair charge getting back in the tank.
Are the bleeder holes just drilled, or is it a scratch all? How do you do it?
They're just drilled. Our grandpa, sometimes he would take some kind of pointy object and heat it up and just stab it in there.
Okay.
We just have a little small drill bit.
Okay. I'm going to go here and explain what y'all just explained to me. This air tank does not have a bladder. That's like a float. And so there should be 2 holes in the pipe, so it will always introduce air after the pump shuts off, and when it cycles back on, air will come into this tank. They said that's what you want, and they didn't hear that happening.
I'll tell you what, this old rope right here, we had a job, was it last week, where his pump got melted into the casing from getting hot. You know, kind of like I was saying, yours got hot, but you blew out the pipe. Well, his didn't blow out the pipe, it melted the casing. And we pulled on it with this rope right here. Pretty much everything this rig can pull on a single line.
Wow.
It's like a test in there.
Oh, look at there. Look at there.
Yeah. Okay, that thing is barely open.
I knew I saw it.
Just had a little bit of jump, so that means the bottom part is closed. This one's supposed to suck in air. So there's going to be another one. You can harder to find, I'm sure. None of this is even, like, usually all the algae that you had on your pipe, so those bleeder holes are working, this will all be wet. You know, it all have a
check that? I don't think so.
it's covered up. Check, 'cause it would, at least it would drain all that, but then.
You just don't want to drill another one until you figure it out, or what?
Sometimes there's what's called a Schrader valve, which is kind of like a real weak valve stem. It's going to be up on your check valve. He's just checking to see if you got one. If you don't have one there, then you have 2 bleeder holes. If you do have one there, you only have 1. There'll be a little brass fitting. It should be poking out. You'll be able to feel it pretty easy.
I think that's
Okay. Yeah, it would drain all the way back to the valve.
Well, I might have covered it up where it can't bleed.
Yeah.
it may be. Yeah,
So, like I was saying, your top hole normally sucks in air. That's what your Schrader valve does in this case. So that hole's bleeding out water. This is sucking in air. So you're draining all the line between here and there. So you should have
Oh, it's got a cap.
40, 50 feet of air coming in. This
Okay.
tank. But that hole was pretty well clogged too. It was barely.
I'm surprised it was working as good as it was.
It's common for people to put these caps on.
I'm sure I did it.
But
They got a really weak spring in them, so they're bad about leaking.
It's that stupid homeowner.
Yeah. Even some of the new ones we put on, they're so weak because it has to pull by vacuum, so it can't be a real tight spring. So even the new ones we've installed, some of those will leak too. Seems like.
But actually, I don't remember putting a cap on there, but it'd be like me to do it.
Yeah.
that's it.
So you just leave it open.
That just seems pretty tight.
Okay,
That
what?
little Schrader valve there, if it won't suck in air, like I said, your tank will get waterlogged.
Let me see it.
And when that pump starts short
That's
cycling,
it.
Yeah. Okay.
then it'll burn those pumps out. People spend thousands of dollars over a $3 or $2 little Schrader valve.
You know, I think my wife put that cap on there.
Yeah, that's what I'd say too.
On startups, what you're saying, right?
Yes, every time the pump comes on. Maybe not every time. Like right now, it hadn't had a whole lot of time. It's a pretty slow process. Hadn't had enough time.
And that air stacks up on top of the expansion tank.
Yes, the air will build up in the tank,
Yeah.
and then you have what's called air volume control that screws into the side, and that'll release all the excess air if it ever gets to that point. If your volume control doesn't work, then all that excess air is going to go to your house.
Okay.
So if you ever start getting a lot of air in your lines,
So would I hear that excess volume coming out sometimes, or is it pretty quiet?
so typically you may not catch it every time, but sometimes when your pump, right before your pump comes on, you'll hear kind of a little spewing of air.
Okay.
If you ever start getting a bunch of air in your house, that's most likely what the problem is.
Okay.
Air volume control. I don't know if you can buy those things. I've never actually seen one at a hardware store, so but we can definitely see if you